My name is Thomas Reed, and if anyone had told me a year ago that I would be sitting in my own living room, afraid of my wife, I would have laughed in their face. I loved Laura more than anything, and I believed she loved me too. For 8 years of marriage, we had built a quiet life together in a modest suburban home. She was fiery, yes, quick to anger sometimes. But I always thought her temper was harmless, just the spark that made her who she was. But lately, her anger had become something else, darker, heavier. It began one rainy evening in March. I had come home late from work, tired and distracted. My boss had kept me longer than expected, and I hadn't thought to call. The house was silent when I stepped in, except for the ticking clock on the wall. Laura was in the kitchen, standing by the counter with a knife in her hand. She was chopping vegetables, but she wasn't looking at them. She was staring at me. "You didn't answer my text," she said, her voice calm, but her eyes sharp. I apologized, explaining about the late meeting, but her lips curved into a smile that chilled me. It wasn't a smile of forgiveness, it was the kind of smile you wear when you're already planning something. She didn't argue further, but the silence that followed felt like the air before a storm. Days passed, and I noticed small things. Doors in the house locked when I didn't remember locking them. My car keys went missing, only to reappear in strange places. Once my phone alarm failed to go off, making me late for work, though I was certain I had set it. One night, as I drifted off to sleep, I woke to find Laura standing over me in the dark. She said she had heard a noise and was checking, but her expression didn't match her words. Her breathing was heavy, her eyes unblinking, as if she were waiting for me to say something or confess something. I started to wonder, did she think I was cheating on her? Was that the root of her fury? I wasn't, but sometimes doubt is more dangerous than truth. The next week, things escalated. She began asking strange questions. If I ever hurt you, would you still love me? If you disappeared, Thomas, how long do you think it would take people to notice? I laughed nervously, but inside I felt a knot of fear tightening. One Friday, I invited my friend Daniel over for dinner, hoping his presence would lighten the atmosphere. Laura cooked a beautiful meal, smiled, and played the perfect hostess. Daniel even complimented her on her warmth. But later, when he stepped outside to take a call, Laura leaned close to me and whispered, "Do you think I don't notice the way you look at other people when I'm not watching?" "I see everything, Thomas, everything." Her words clung to me like smoke. I started keeping a journal, writing down every strange thing she did just in case. Just in case one day I needed proof that I wasn't imagining it. Then came the night that changed everything. It was late, nearly midnight, when I woke to the sound of something dragging across the floor downstairs. My heart thudded in my chest. I crept out of bed, careful not to wake Laura, though when I glanced at her side of the bed, it was empty. The dragging sound grew louder. I grabbed a flashlight and moved cautiously down the stairs. At the bottom I froze. Laura was in the living room, her hair messy, her face pale. She was pulling something heavy across the floor. My flashlight beam landed on it, a large, black garbage bag, smeared with something dark. My breath caught. She snapped her head toward me, eyes blazing. "Why are you awake?" I stammered something about hearing a noise. She stood up, wiping her hands on her nightgown, and smiled that cold smile again. "Just cleaning up," she said. "Go back to bed." I didn't. Instead, I waited until she went upstairs. Then I approached the bag, with trembling fingers. I tore it open. Inside were clothes. My clothes, cut to shreds, stained with what looked like red paint or blood. My knees went weak. The next morning, everything looked normal again. The bag was gone. Laura was cheerful, cooking pancakes as if nothing had happened. When I tried to bring it up, she tilted her head and laughed. "Oh, Thomas, you dreamed such strange things." But I knew it wasn't a dream. From that day on, I became a prisoner in my own home. She watched me constantly. If I took too long at the store, she demanded explanations. If I locked the bathroom door, she rattled the handle until I came out. At night, I could feel her eyes on me, even when I pretended to sleep. One evening, I found the journal I had been keeping. It wasn't where I had hidden it. A note was slipped inside in her handwriting. "I told you I see everything." My blood ran cold. I began to plan an escape. I waited for the right night, when she would be asleep. I had my bag packed, hidden under the bed. But when I finally gathered the courage to leave, I discovered something that made my stomach twist in terror. The front door keys were gone. The windows all nailed shut. Even the garage door opener had vanished. She had thought of everything. The last straw came 2 nights later. I woke up again in the dark, sensing movement. Laura was sitting beside me, holding something in her lap. It gleamed faintly in the moonlight. "A hammer," she whispered, almost tenderly. "You don't love me anymore, do you, Thomas?" I couldn't breathe. I forced a smile. Told her I did, I always would. She stared at me for a long, unbearable moment, then set the hammer down and lay beside me. But she didn't close her eyes. She stayed awake all night, watching me. And now, as I write this, I can hear her humming in the next room. She's making tea, she says. She wants us to sit together, to talk honestly. But I don't dare. I don't know what's waiting in that steaming cup, or what will happen if I refuse. My name is Thomas Reed. If anyone ever finds this journal, if anyone ever reads these words, notice my wife was angry. Angrier than anyone did imagine. And I don't think I'll survive her love much longer.